Okay, so you've already heard me talk a little bit about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and how right now it's in a bit of a troublesome state. There are quite a few bugs, a couple of issues that people are running into, some pertaining to the inability to even log in, matchmaking issues, and so on. And I mean, recently, the chief financial officer at Warner Brothers Discovery said that the expectations weren't met with Suicide Squad, which unfortunately paints a bit of a bleak future for the game. And honestly, it's a bit of a bummer for me overall because there are some ideas in this game that I think are great. The gameplay here is quite a bit of fun, and well, when the story is good, it's genuinely incredible. Unfortunately, it falters in other aspects. There are some certain story decisions that I don't agree with. I do feel like the end game is lackluster, the mission variety is pretty much non-existent, and overall, this, as a live service game, is missing some components that, well, would make it a live service, would make it something that you want to be coming back to every single day, every single week. It's kind of what I hope you guys do. Come back to this channel every single day, every single week, hitting the thumbs up button on every single video. And one of those live service elements is, well, the DLC. They're going to be adding new playable characters, new playable areas, new weapons, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And they promised that Season 1 for the game was going to be launching in March. And, well, we're in March. It was starting to seem like maybe Season 1 was going to be getting delayed. I mean, look at what happened with Avengers. They had a roadmap. They had a bit of an idea with what they wanted to do with Kate Bishop, with Hawkeye, leading into that Black Panther DLC. But the game launched with a ton of issues, a ton of bugs, and unfortunately, the developers needed to prioritize fixing those so that it was a playable game before they got onto the DLC. So Suicide Squad's kind of been walking that same path. We've expected that we were going to be getting DLC here in March Season 1, but is that actually going to be happening? I mean, they tried to fix a issue that had people trying to log in, and instead it created this new issue where whenever you finished an endgame mission, you had this loading into Metropolis thing. Thankfully, they fixed that. They put out a developer update as well a couple of days ago, and one thing that I will say that I really appreciate and I respect that Rocksteady is doing is that every single week they have a developer update and they are keeping the communication active. So they said here in their development update for the most recent patch, this week we published a patch focused on tackling the loading Metropolis issue that appeared the week before. This issue was causing some players to experience extended loading times upon completing a mission. Our data indicates that this issue has now been entirely resolved, and we haven't seen any player reports experiencing this issue since the patch. As was most likely apparent from the fact that this patch contained only one change, this was a hot fix aimed at one issue. Therefore, other changes in our resolved issues awaiting release section could not be included, but we are aiming to include these fixes in upcoming patches. And they mention, down below in their state of current issues, they say that there are login issues. As mentioned above, we are investigating a fix to affected players' profiles that would allow them to log into the game that would not require a full client-side patch. Further fixes are being investigated for future patches. There's also matchmaking issues. Same as login issues, we are investigating a fix to affect players' profiles that would allow them to join multiplayer sessions, which would not require a full client-side patch. We are also exploring server improvements to help tackle lag issues when playing in multiplayer sessions. And then finally, it's mentioned here mastery progression issues. A fix has been implemented that we believe ensures no new players will encounter the bug whereby they are unable to progress through mastery levels. For players who encountered it before, this fix was implemented. We aim to fix this issue for you in an upcoming patch. And then they also mentioned that some people were having issues with the Raising Hell missions that pop up after you get towards the end of the game. So needless to say, there's quite a bit of bugs still needing to be fixed. And while this developer update also came with some bad news, but I will say it's like a double-edged sword for Rocksteady. You see, they mentioned here, in regards to the next big patch that would presumably fix a lot of these issues. We're aware that many of you are eagerly awaiting our next patch for bug fixes and gameplay improvements, especially the mutator changes. We're excited to get those changes into the game, and we're hard at work getting them ready. Our main focus right now is getting the whole game ready to receive our free Season 1 update this month, which includes the new playable character Joker, as well as new gear, environments, and more. As a result, we won't be releasing a patch next week as we dedicate ourselves to testing fixes and making sure they're ready for implementation. Having said that, we are investigating several possible fixes for both login and multiplayer issues that would not require a client-side patch to bridge us to the next patch. We will keep the community updated on this potential fix in our Discord. That's right, so things like the login issues and the matchmaking issues, like I said, they're looking to do something that wouldn't require you to download and update. They're looking to just make it a quick little hotfix. fix. But in terms of pressing issues like the mastery progression, and as well just in general quality of life fixes like the mutators that you experience, the big explosion mutator when you're playing through the endgame missions is incredibly frustrating to deal with. And they mentioned that they're going to fix it in that they're going to put it on a timer. So when you defeat an enemy, it takes a couple of seconds before they explode. But that stuff seems to be put on the back burner until they get the big Joker update out and ready to go. And well, when is that going to be? Is it going to be delayed into April? It sounds like they're still aiming for March. Finally now though, we have a release date for Season 1. Earlier today, they tweeted out, "Get ready for Season 1, the jokes are coming. March 28th, hashtag Suicide Squad game." And they attached an image of the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Joker, Season 1, March 28th, and he's looking kind of menacing. It's still jarring to look at a Rocksteady Joker and it not look like the Arkham Joker, but the design is growing on me a bit. I just wish it still kind of resembled our Arkham Joker. And in a perfect timeline, since we have Kevin Conroy as Batman in this game, it would have been awesome if Mark Hamill returned as a playable Joker for the second time since Arkham Asylum, or actually maybe the third time if you count Arkham Knight. It just would have been cool to have a playable Joker that was the Arkham-looking Joker with Mark Hamill's voice. And I think that would have also been interesting for how the interactions would have been between that Joker and Harley Quinn. I'm still intrigued to see what they're going to do with this Joker and Harley, considering how she feels about Joker in this game, and I wonder what their dynamic is going to be like, and I wonder how much it's going to affect her to see the Joker again. But I think narratively, it would be a bit easier for her to let it go, considering that this version of the Joker looks, acts, sounds completely different from the Arkhamverse Joker. We'll have to wait and see. Nevertheless, Season 1 is not getting delayed. It's coming out on March 28th, but it sounds like it not getting delayed was at the expense of us getting a patch implemented into the game sooner rather than later. And that has obviously created a bit of discourse amongst the community. Some people really want these quality of life fixes and some of these in general bug fixes added into the game as soon as possible. But like I said, this creates a double-edged sword situation for Rocksteady. If they delay Season 1, if they delay the big DLC update with a new playable character, then that already dwindling Steam concurrent player count will go even lower. And while I understand that, Steam concurrent player count is like not everything, it's not the end all, I imagine that a large majority of players who bought this game are on Xbox or PlayStation. But if we were to look at the Steam concurrent count as an example, I'd have to imagine that maybe for Xbox and PlayStation, those concurrent numbers, or in general, the number of players that are just playing this game isn't very high. And concurrent player count is kind of what you want for a live service game. You want people to be logging on every day. You want people to have an excuse to be playing this game constantly. Then again, you do have some players kind of like myself. What I do with Destiny is I wait for the big updates, I check out all the new content, and then I check out for another couple of months until the next big update comes to the game. And that's sort of where I'm landing with Suicide Squad. I've practically got my platinum trophy for the game. I've done almost everything you could do. I've gotten through like 60 mastery levels. I've played through so much of the end game. There's so much build crafting. I've delved deep into the RPG systems, and I've had quite a bit of fun, I can't lie. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna put you to rest for a little bit. I'm gonna play some Helldivers. I'm gonna play some Marvel Snap, and I'm just gonna wait for the Joker to drop. Obviously, considering the Twitch drops situation and the fact that the Twitch drops end around March 7th for Captain Boomerang, people assumed that that was gonna be around the time that we were gonna get the Joker DLC, and maybe it was, but now it's been delayed pretty much as far back as it could without leaving March, as that was the original promise. All this to say, March 28th, big update coming to the game. We're getting a new playable character, we're getting new playable areas and new guns, tons of new stuff to do. And then hopefully shortly after, we can expect some quality of life fixes and then some pressing issues that people have been waiting for in terms of bugs to be fixed as well. I really don't know what the future holds for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I would love in some fantasy world for this game to succeed, for that Joker DLC to drop, and for a bunch of people to jump back into the game and be like, whoa, there's a lot of content here for free. But in reality, is it going to be a too little, too late situation? I don't know. I feel for the folks at Rocksteady. I know, again, that there are tons of hardworking people there. I've met some of them, and I know they poured their hearts and souls into this. It just, unfortunately, didn't hit the mark for some people, myself included, which is a massive bummer. I don't want to not like a game, and I imagine impression that Rocksteady didn't want to make a game that people didn't like. But I guess it is what it is. We're just gonna have to wait until March 28th to see what goes down and if that big update is gonna be enough. Of course, I'll make sure to keep you guys up to date right here on this channel. Keep it locked, subscribe, turn on those notifications for all Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League updates. And with that being said, let me now kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section below. Are you still playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Are you looking forward to the Joker DLC dropping in the game later this month? And how do you feel overall about them putting on hold some of those patches that we've been waiting for, that we've been needing for this game in favor of getting this update out? I want to hear everything you guys have to say in the comments. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.